Chosen one, the battle you've been fighting in secret is about to end, but not because you're giving up, because heaven has decided it's finished. Stop scrolling and listen closely. You didn't stumble onto this message by chance or algorithm. Something inside you just stirred when you heard those words, didn't it? What if everything you've endured wasn't punishment, but preparation for what's about to be released in your life? If you walk away now, you'll miss the moment when God turns your deepest wound into your greatest weapon. You are not here by accident. What's ahead in this message is going to expose the real reason your trial lasted as long as it did. But before we get there, here's what you need to understand first. Every warrior must face one final test before they receive their crown, and yours is ending right now. The enemy threw everything at you because he knew what heaven was preparing to give you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your breakthrough had to wait until this moment, and you'll see the divine strategy that's been working behind every closed door, every delayed answer, every night you wondered if God had forgotten you. But here's the first revelation that changes everything. Your trial wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to forge you into someone unshakable. And that process is complete. The shift isn't coming, it's here, and your spirit knows it. Hit the like button to declare, I'm ready to receive this divine message. It takes just a second, but helps spread this word to thousands of other chosen ones who need it right now. Comment 777. If you're declaring today as the day you step into divine abundance, favor, and breakthrough, what's on your heart today? Leave your prayer request in the comments and then take a moment to lift someone else up with words of encouragement. When you share your prayer, others will intercede for you. When you pray for someone else, God moves in ways you never imagined. And to all our channel members, thank you for your continued support and faith. May God return it to you in peace, provision, and divine favor. Have you ever felt like you're just standing at the very edge of something incredible, perhaps even something deeply whispered into your spirit as a promise from God, but you can't seem to step into it? It's as if there's an invisible barrier, a thin veil. Chosen one, the battle you've been fighting in secret is about to end, but not because you're giving up, because heaven has decided it's finished. Stop scrolling and listen closely. You didn't stumble onto this message by chance or algorithm. Something inside you just stirred when you heard those words, didn't it? What if everything you've endured wasn't punishment, but preparation for what's about to be released in your life? If you walk away now, you'll miss the moment when God turns your deepest wound into your greatest weapon. You are not here by accident. What's ahead in this message is going to expose the real reason your trial lasted as long as it did. But before we get there, here's what you need to understand first. Every warrior must face one final test before they receive their crown, and yours is ending right now. The enemy threw everything at you because he knew what heaven was preparing to give you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your breakthrough had to wait until this moment, and you'll see the divine strategy that's been working behind every closed door, every delayed answer, every night you wondered if God had forgotten you. But here's the first revelation that changes everything. Your trial wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to forge you into someone unshakable, and that process is complete. The shift isn't coming, it's here, and your spirit knows it. Hit the like button to declare, I'm ready to receive this divine message. It takes just a second, but helps spread this word to thousands of other chosen ones who need it right now. Comment 777. If you're declaring today as the day you step into divine abundance, favor, and breakthrough, what's on your heart today? Leave your prayer request in the comments and then take a moment to lift someone else up with words of encouragement. When you share your prayer, others will intercede for you. When you pray for someone else, God moves in ways you never imagined. And to all our channel members, thank you for your continued support and faith. May God return it to you in peace, provision, and divine favor. Have you ever felt like you're just standing at the very edge of something incredible, perhaps even something deeply whispered into your spirit as a promise from God, but you can't seem to step into it? It's as if there's an invisible barrier, a thin veil right at the doorway, and you're watching everyone else walk through, their steps light and unburdened, while you remain stuck, your heart aching with a silent longing. This feeling, this profound sense of being on the precipice yet unable to move forward, is not just common, it's a universal echo in the chambers of many souls. And honestly, for most of us, this wasn't born out of weakness, nor is it a sign that we've been forgotten by God. More often than not, it's because we've been fighting silent battles, wrestling with internal giants, enduring struggles that no one else sees, battles waged not on battlefields, but in the quiet, unguarded moments of our own hearts. And in those lonely spaces, a subtle, insidious whisper begins to take root, that this struggle, this seemingly endless delay, this painful season of waiting, is a clear sign that God isn't truly with us. We mistakenly think it means He's abandoned us, that He's moved on from our story, when in reality, if we could only perceive it through a different lens, it might just be the clearest, most undeniable sign of a divine promotion already in disguise, unfolding in ways we can't yet comprehend. It's the meticulous preparation for a grander unveiling, a deeper purpose. Think about it like this, with the tenderness of a loving parent or the meticulous care of a master craftsman. God sometimes works so deeply behind the scenes, like a skilled artist painting a masterpiece or a builder constructing a magnificent cathedral. He's carefully selecting the colors, shaping the stone, orchestrating every intricate detail. But He keeps the grand vision hidden, shrouded in divine mystery, until the perfect, appointed moment for its glorious unveiling. It's akin to preparing a surprise party for someone you cherish deeply, isn't it? You wouldn't think of showing them all the decorations, the meticulously chosen gifts, the beautifully arranged cake while you're still setting up. No. You move with quiet anticipation, with deliberate steps, ensuring every element is precisely in place. You wait until the last ribbon is tied, the final candle lit, and then, with a heart full of joy, you swing open the doors for the big reveal. God often does something remarkably similar with our lives, with our destinies, with the very fabric of our future. He's weaving a tapestry we can't yet see, preparing a stage we haven't imagined, all in His perfect timing. Consider the incredible labyrinthine journey of Joseph. What an epic story, brimming with unexpected twists and soul-wrenching turns. Here was a young man, brimming with vibrant dreams, radiating with the promise of a glorious future. And then, in a blink, he's cruelly betrayed by his own brothers, cast into a deep, dark pit. Can you possibly imagine the terror, the searing confusion, the profound feeling of utter abandonment that must have gripped his young heart in that suffocating darkness? Then, as if that weren't enough, he's sold into slavery, stripped of his identity and freedom. With a spirit of resilience, he works his way up through diligent service, only to be falsely accused and unjustly thrown into the cold, unforgiving confines of a prison cell. He spends years there, completely innocent, his youth slipping away behind iron bars. From the outside looking in, it seems like nothing short of a total disaster, a life irrevocably derailed, a glaring sign of God's complete absence. It would be so easy, so human, to gaze at that unfolding tragedy and cry out, "God, where are you? Why is this happening? You promised me greatness, a life of significance, but I'm rotting away in a dungeon, forgotten." But here, my friend, is the profound, soul-stirring truth that changes everything. Joseph wasn't in that suffocating pit, nor was he confined to that desolate prison cell because God had forgotten him. Oh no, it was precisely because God had a palace, a throne, an entire nation waiting for him on the other side of that very darkness. Every single agonizing day of that grueling delay, every tear that silently traced a path down his face, every injustice he suffered, every quiet moment of despair, was actually a day closer to the very throne God had not merely envisioned, but meticulously prepared for him. Even when it felt like he was spiraling further and further away from his divine destiny, he was, in fact, being intricately and purposefully prepared for it. He was learning the invaluable lessons of patience that could only be forged in waiting, resilience that could only be refined in hardship, and the wisdom of administration and forgiveness that were absolutely essential to govern a vast nation. This is the crucial part that most of us never truly grasp, that the deep, aching pain we experience, the prolonged seasons of unanswered prayers, are not proof that God is distant from us. On the contrary, they are often undeniable evidence that our destiny is indeed waiting. And this hard season, this refining fire, is not meant to consume us, but to purify us, to strengthen us, to prepare us for the weight of the glory that is to come. It's a crucible, not a graveyard. You know, some of the most powerful breakthroughs in life, the ones that truly transform everything we thought we knew, don't suddenly appear when you're frantically searching for all the answers, tearing your hair out trying to meticulously figure out every single detail of the path ahead. In fact, they often emerge with quiet grace when you simply stop that frantic, exhausting search and begin to intentionally, quietly sit with revelation. It's not about finding, it's about receiving. It's about being truly open with a posture of humility and expectancy to what God deeply desires to show you, allowing those timeless truths to gently settle, not just into your mind, but deep within the fertile ground of your spirit. If what I'm sharing right now truly resonates with you, if it's sparking a gentle flame of recognition, a quiet yes inside, then the 10 hidden truths of Jesus' parables is truly your next powerful, spirit-led step. This isn't some dense, complicated theological textbook designed to overwhelm you. Instead, it's a short, incredibly potent ebook that's meticulously designed to open up profoundly practical, spirit-led truths that apply to so many of the most vital areas of your life. Things like understanding money from a divine perspective, shifting your mindset from lack to abundance, stepping courageously into healing, not just physical but emotional and spiritual, and finding a deep, abiding emotional clarity even when the canvas of life feels messy, chaotic, and uncertain. You can find the link to access it right there in the first comment of this video. Just a gentle heads up though, it's only available for a limited time, a divine window of opportunity. So if you feel that quiet, persistent pull, that spirit-led nudge, please don't wait. Your breakthrough might be waiting in those very pages. Now, let's really lean into this truth with courage and open hearts. The first, incredibly vital thing we need to do is to consciously, deliberately, and with all our will, step out of agreement with a truly insidious lie. It's a lie that whispers to us in our darkest hours, telling us that our waiting, our long season of apparent inactivity, was just wasted time. This corrosive lie tries to convince us that all those years, all those struggles endured in silence, all that quiet patience we mustered amounted to nothing. It strives to persuade us that we simply lost out, that we missed our divine window, that it was all for naught, a bitter waste. But the profound, liberating truth echoing from the heart of heaven is this: every single tear you've ever cried in the lonely shadows of the night, every quiet moment of gnawing frustration, every silent, desperate prayer for breakthrough, none of those were wasted. Absolutely none. Those tears, those struggles, those whispered prayers, they were not signs of futility. They were actually precious seeds you were diligently sowing, preparing the sacred ground of your heart and your life for a harvest you couldn't possibly envision or perceive at the time. They were watering the very soil of your destiny. It's time, my friend, to consciously, decisively stop rehearsing the same old, worn-out narrative in your head. The one that tells you you're constantly being overlooked, that you're always just almost there, but never quite arriving. How many times have we allowed that tired story to loop endlessly in the theater of our minds? I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I get so incredibly close and then, at the last moment, it slips away from my grasp. This self-defeating mindset, this internal monologue of limitation, is a powerful anchor that keeps us stuck, bound to the past. Think about young David, the humble shepherd boy, who would one day become the mighty king of Israel. He was anointed by the prophet Samuel in complete obscurity, far away from the public eye, out in the solitary fields, tending sheep. His greatest preparation for leading an entire nation, for facing down the terrifying giant Goliath, for ruling Israel with wisdom and courage, came with no fanfare, no public applause, no external validation, no one cheering him on. It was just him, the sheep, and the intimate guiding presence of God. He was fighting real lions and bears, learning raw courage, developing strategic thinking, honing his aim, long before anyone even knew his name, long before he stepped onto the public stage. What you're experiencing in your hidden season right now, that quiet, uncelebrated time of struggle and growth, that's precisely where your strength is being forged, where your character is being shaped and refined, and where the most significant, deep-seated changes are taking place within you, even if you can't see the immediate results with your natural eyes. Coming up, we're going to dig into the step most people instinctively avoid, but it's the one that has the power to change absolutely everything, to unlock the doors you thought were permanently sealed. Next, it's crucial, profoundly important, that we get truly real and courageously expose the subtle patterns you've unknowingly settled into. This is a super important, pivotal moment in your journey. The enemy, or really, just the negative, insidious forces trying to keep you bound and prevent you from stepping into your divine destiny, absolutely loves to play this deceptive trick. He wants you to accept delay, not merely as a temporary season you're walking through, a challenging passing storm, but as your very identity. He desperately wants you to believe, this is just who I am. I'm always delayed. I'm perpetually stuck. I'm the one who struggles, the one who never quite makes it. That is a dangerous, soul-crushing shift from I'm in a season of waiting to the devastating declaration, waiting defines me. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, a cage of your own making. Look at the Israelites. God, in his boundless love and power, had promised them a magnificent promised land, a land flowing abundantly with milk and honey. It was a journey that, by all accounts, should have taken them just a few days, or at most a couple of weeks, perhaps a few months of intentional travel. But what happened? They found themselves circling the desolate wilderness for a staggering 40 years. It wasn't because God's promise had suddenly become far away, or because the destination had moved. No, it was because their hearts, collectively, became resigned to the wilderness. They kept lamenting what they left behind in the perceived comforts of Egypt, complaining incessantly about the present hardship and harboring a deep, insidious doubt about God's unfailing provision. They slowly, subtly settled into a mindset of perpetual survival mode, a crushing sense of just barely getting by, rather than truly flourishing, truly thriving, truly living in the abundance God had intended. My friend, please hear this truth deep within your spirit. You are not, absolutely not, called to permanent survival mode. You were intricately created for abundance, for profound purpose, for glorious flourishing. It's time to honestly, bravely name where you've allowed this season of delay to redefine you. Have you started to introduce yourself by your problems, your limitations, your unfulfilled desires? Have you stopped dreaming big, audacious dreams because the waiting felt too long, too painful, too hopeless? Be brave enough to acknowledge it, even if it's just a whispered confession to your own heart. Another crucial, often overlooked step is to absolutely refuse to listen to the counterfeit voices. This is not a one-time battle, it's an ongoing, daily spiritual discipline for all of us. Not every voice that speaks to you during your trial, during your prolonged period of delay, is from God, nor is it even for your ultimate good or your glorious future. Some voices are merely the echoes of fear, others are the insidious whispers of doubt. Some are the ghosts of past hurts and wounds, and some are even external voices from people who simply don't understand the sacred trajectory of your journey, or worse, who secretly wish you ill. Think of Nehemiah, a man called by God with a singular purpose: to rebuild the crumbling walls of Jerusalem, which had been in ruins for years, a symbol of brokenness and despair. As he bravely started this monumental, impossible-seeming project, enemies like Sanballat and Tobiah were relentless. They were constantly taunting him, mocking him, telling him his efforts were futile, impossible, utterly ridiculous. They tried every trick in the book to distract him, to discourage him, to intimidate him into abandoning his divine assignment. But Nehemiah, with quiet strength, silenced them not by arguing back or falling into despair, but by staying resolutely focused, by staying literally on the wall, and most importantly, by praying. He simply kept building, brick by painful brick. In your own life, this means a fierce, protective discernment. Do not entertain anything, any thought, any comment, any news, any piece of information, anything that doesn't echo God's true, affirming promises over your life. If it doesn't align with what God says about you, that you are profoundly loved, deeply purposed, incredibly capable, and destined for abundant good, then silence it. Just like Nehemiah, keep building and keep moving forward. Coming up, we'll dive into a hidden habit that might actually be feeding the very delay you're trying so desperately to overcome. This next one hits home for a lot of us, piercing through our rationalizations. We need to courageously interrupt our own hesitation. You see, delayed obedience is often just disguised disbelief. It's that moment when God, in his gentle but clear way, gives you an instruction, a quiet nudge, a clear direction, and then, almost instinctively, you hesitate. You put it off. You whisper to yourself, maybe later. You start frantically looking for more confirmation, a greater degree of certainty, a clearer, undeniable sign. But what if, and lean into this, what if the confirmation you seek is found only in the very act of obedience itself? What if the path reveals itself only as you step onto it? Remember the prophet Jonah. God explicitly told him to go to Nineveh, a difficult, uncomfortable, and deeply undesirable assignment for him. What did Jonah do? He ran the other way, hopped onto a ship sailing in the exact opposite direction. And what unfolded? Storm after storm, chaos, fear, until he finally, broken and humbled, surrendered and moved in the direction God had originally called him. Is there an instruction, a gentle prompting, a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, a step of faith you've been delaying, perhaps for years? Are you thinking you need 5 more confirmations, or a perfectly clear, brightly lit path before you take that very first step? Let me tell you, from the depths of spiritual truth, breakthrough truly follows obedience, not certainty. The certainty, the clarity, the peace often comes after you've taken that obedient, courageous step of faith. It's exactly like turning on the headlights in the deep, inky darkness of night. You don't see the entire road stretching out before you, but you see enough to take the next few steps and then the next, trustingly moving forward. And speaking of difficult steps, sometimes the most challenging, the most counterintuitive thing we're ever asked to do on this spiritual journey is simply to let go of what feels safe, what feels comfortable, what is familiar. It's a profound paradox, isn't it? Sometimes what you're desperately clinging to for security and familiarity is precisely what's blocking your true, expansive destiny. It's like having a tight, white-knuckled grip on a small, smooth, ordinary stone, while just beyond your reach there's a magnificent, multifaceted diamond waiting for you. You simply cannot grasp the diamond until you open your hand and release the stone. You have to create the space. Look at Abraham, the patriarch of faith. God commanded him to leave absolutely everything familiar, his cherished homeland, his beloved family, his comfortable, predictable life in Ur of the Chaldeans, and go to a land he didn't even know, a place God would only show him as he journeyed. He had to step bravely into the absolute unknown, into a void of uncertainty, before he could step into the amazing, breathtaking promise God had spoken over him. What are you still trying to manage, to control, to hold on to, with a desperate grip that God has gently but clearly asked you to surrender? Is it a certain outcome, a specific relationship, a financial situation you're trying to manipulate, your reputation, or perhaps your own meticulously crafted timeline for your life? This act of surrender is often the most misunderstood, yet it is the one that sets absolutely everything else in motion. It's the moment where true spiritual growth doesn't just happen, it accelerates exponentially, because you're choosing profound trust over your own limited ability to control, to manage, to force outcomes. Now let's talk about something incredibly important for our inner peace, our deep healing, and our ultimate freedom. We need to courageously renounce every single agreement with shame. Shame is a cruel, cunning taskmaster. It takes our deepest wounds, our past mistakes, our perceived failures, and it attempts to twist them, to deform them into our very identity. It whispers insidious lies into the hidden corners of our hearts. You are this mistake. You are utterly unworthy. You are defined by your worst, most agonizing moment. Think about Peter, one of Jesus' closest, most passionate disciples. In a moment of intense fear, confusion, and crushing pressure, he denied knowing Jesus not once, not twice, but 3 agonizing times. Can you imagine the suffocating, soul-crushing shame he must have felt afterwards? The bitter tears he cried, Scripture tells us, must have burned with the fire of self-condemnation, a profound sense of failure. Yet those very denials, that deeply painful human moment, became the ashes from which his incredible courage, his unwavering faith, and his powerful leadership were magnificently ignited. Jesus didn't write him off. He tenderly restored him, loved him unconditionally, and used him mightily to build his church. Your worst moment, whatever it was, whatever you replay in your mind, is not meant to be your permanent label, your eternal identity. It's a part of your story, yes, a chapter in your journey, but it absolutely does not define who you are in God's loving, all-seeing eyes. You are redeemed, you are profoundly forgiven, and you are eternally called. When you're going through profound pain, especially the kind that sears your soul, it's so incredibly easy to get completely swallowed up by it, to see nothing else but the raw hurt, the deep ache, the surrounding darkness. But I want to gently encourage you, with all my heart, to actively and intentionally invite divine perspective over your pain. This means consciously, deliberately asking God, with a humble and open heart, what is your view on this situation, Father? What are you doing in this struggle? What profound lesson, what deeper truth can I learn here in this place of discomfort? When you invite God for his higher view, for his heavenly perspective, you begin to see that sometimes certain thorns, certain persistent challenges are allowed to remain in our lives, not to torment us, not to punish us, but precisely to keep us deeply, intimately dependent on his abounding grace, not on our own fleeting strength, our own self-reliance, or our own limited understanding. The Apostle Paul, a giant of faith, a spiritual titan, famously had what he called a thorn in the flesh. He pleaded with God earnestly 3 distinct times for it to be removed, but God's unwavering, powerful answer was, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." Paul's extraordinary ministry, his unparalleled impact, was multiplied not in spite of his struggles, but actually, paradoxically, through them. His vulnerability, his human frailty, allowed God's infinite power to shine even brighter, to be undeniably evident. Your pain, when viewed through God's compassionate eyes, can be transformed from a stumbling block into a sacred pathway to greater purpose, a wellspring of deeper empathy for others, and an even more profound, intimate connection with the very heart of God himself. This next step is one of the hardest, one of the most counterintuitive, but it's incredibly, profoundly freeing. Bless what tried to break you. It sounds utterly preposterous, doesn't it? Why in the world would you bless something or someone that caused you so much searing hurt, so much profound pain? But remember Joseph again, that incredible testament to God's redemptive power. He not only miraculously survived his brother's cruel betrayal and the agonizing years of false imprisonment, but when he was finally exalted to a position of immense power and influence in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh, he chose to forgive the very brothers who had betrayed him, sold him, and tried to destroy his future. He saw God's sovereign hand in it all, articulating this profound spiritual truth. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. When you cling to bitterness, when you nurse a grudge, it's truly like drinking a slow, insidious poison yourself, and then, foolishly, expecting the other person to get sick. Bitterness is a devastating blockage. It builds impenetrable walls in your heart. It siphons your precious energy, and it actively prevents you from fully receiving the good, the abundant blessing that God deeply desires to bring into your life. When you courageously choose to release that bitterness, when you choose to bless, or at the very least forgive, what tried to break you, you create sacred space within your spirit. You open your clenched hands, and in that act of release, you watch in awe as what God has for you truly multiplies. It's not about excusing what happened. It's about choosing your own profound freedom over staying perpetually tied to the painful past. Here's an empowering, soul-stirring challenge for you. Pray for the very thing you once feared. What's that one specific thing that makes your stomach clench into a knot, that sends shivers down your spine, that keeps you awake in the lonely hours of the night, your mind racing? That one thing you've always instinctively avoided confronting, that challenge you've skirted around. Daniel, a man of unwavering faith and conviction, faced the terrifying immediate prospect of being thrown into a den of hungry, snarling lions because he simply refused to stop praying to his God. He didn't run from the king's decree. He didn't hide in fear. He stayed true to his convictions, boldly, openly in prayer. He confronted his deepest fear not by avoiding it, but by facing it head-on, directly in the awesome, protective presence of God. When you bravely bring your deepest fears, your biggest anxieties, your most daunting challenges, your most overwhelming circumstances into the sacred presence of God through sincere, heartfelt prayer, something truly miraculous begins to happen. That thing, that situation, that person, that circumstance you fear begins to lose its suffocating power to control you, to paralyze you. God doesn't always choose to remove the challenge from your path, but He absolutely empowers you to walk through it, to stand firm in the face of it, and to emerge not just surviving, but gloriously victorious on the other side. Now, let me share with you what I call a divine contradiction, and it's truly breathtakingly beautiful in its spiritual truth. Your greatest limitation, that very thing you're perhaps most self-conscious about, that weakness you diligently try to hide, that broken part you believe disqualifies you, is often about to reveal your greatest, most impactful assignment. We tend to think God primarily wants to use our strengths, our obvious talents, and indeed, He does. But He has a profound, glorious way of highlighting His infinite power and wisdom precisely through our profound weaknesses. Think about Moses. When God called him to lead His people out of oppressive slavery in Egypt, a monumental, impossible task, Moses protested vehemently, saying he was slow of speech and slow of tongue. Basically, he had a significant stutter or speech impediment. He felt utterly, completely disqualified from such a public, demanding role. But God didn't dismiss him, didn't choose someone else. He responded with divine wisdom and grace, saying, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." Moses' stutter didn't disqualify him. It was a sign that only God Himself could truly amplify His voice and deliver an entire nation through him. This is so profound, isn't it? God absolutely loves to take what you've been ashamed of, that perceived flaw, that past brokenness, that deep wound, and use it as the very foundation, the sacred cornerstone for what He calls you to do next. It powerfully shows His glory, not yours, and that, my friend, is precisely when true miracles unfold. It's where heaven touches earth in the most unexpected ways. And this truly brings us to what I believe is the hidden root, the deepest, most insidious blockage for so many people on their spiritual journey. Sometimes you're not primarily blocked by the devil, by external forces, or even by other people's actions or opinions. Sometimes the true, deeply entrenched block is a lingering, unconscious loyalty to an old version of you. It's exactly like the Israelites. They physically left Egypt. They walked out of literal slavery, out of the land of bondage. But tragically, Egypt, the mindset of slavery, never truly left their hearts. They still yearned for the garlic and the leeks, the perceived comfort of the familiar, even if that familiarity was, in reality, a suffocating bondage. They grumbled about the daily miracle of manna, God's fresh, divine provision, simply because it wasn't what they were used to. It wasn't the same old, familiar meal. They kept looking back, holding on to the mindset, the old habits, the ingrained identity of being slaves, even when God had, with overwhelming power, declared them